Can I go
we
for a
have to-
textbook like moral quandary and see what you say?
Sure.
Okay, so when I was researching for this episode and I was looking around the internet in the vast wilds, I came across a recurring name, and the name is Corrie ten Boom, right? During the Nazi power, her family harbored Jews, and when the Nazis came and knocked on the door and said, "Are you hiding any Jews here?" The question then becomes, would you say they're under the table?
And I guess, yeah, and this is where the thing is. I don't think as a human I could possibly do that because I don't have enough faith, I guess, that she was showing then. But yeah, I think personally I would just be like, no, but then I don't know.
So maybe
I can't imagine it.
Yeah, maybe we'd say it like this. You would say no, but you recognize it in your own mind as a failing.
Yes, probably.
Okay.
Yes.
So ultimately, your point is still consistent. You're questioning whether
in the
you...
light, in the light of that story, then yes. But yeah, I think if you trusted God enough, then because I mean, and even if they did, that's such a hard line, though, isn't it? Because if like they were discovered, then like it's purely your fault that they died. But anyway, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Have you guys studied Joshua chapter 2, with like the story of Rahab? What's your guys' thoughts on that? Like she literally, blatantly,
straight up lied.
She was a prostitute, so let's just.
But like she was.
But is the
like,
problem that she was a prostitute, or the fact she wasn't acquainted with Yahweh?
Yeah.
But she was like saved.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was.
God could have like sent a lightning bolt. You know,
Bam.
because it's not like, come on, like, do you have to be acquainted with Yahweh to know that lying's bad?
No, because it's just like
No.
a human.
Yeah.
Like God has.
We should know
written-
intuitively that that's
God
wrong.
has written the law in our hearts.
Well,
right?
well, interestingly, and so been listening to Dan Carlin's thing
Hardcore
Luke's
history.
recommendation, and he was talking about the Persians, how their whole empire was structured around like honesty was one of their like key principles, and so that was kind of like the what's the word, like the test tube, the human test tube of seeing how honesty would play out, and like you would literally die if you lied in the Persian Empire.
That makes Daniel chapter 6 much more like, you know, when like you like, you know, how like the king couldn't go against his word once he said something, like once it's something's
it's in stone.
That's it.
That, you know, just you providing insight into that culture. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's like a cultural thing. So yes, I'd agree that like she would have been aware of it. I don't know. What do you think, Ori?
I don't know. God didn't seem to have a problem with it, eh?
It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same scenario though, that we were just like, it's literally the exact same scenario. Like you have hostages. It's just in the Bible.
Yeah. So I have a thought about this because when I read that, I also took the position, or not took the position, but like my first thought was, well, she does it. It's for the good of God's people, and she's saved. So like as a net positive, it looks good. Then I thought, well, if I was on the other side of this argument, how would I read it? If I was on the other side of this argument, I would be saying, well, just because the Bible records that she did it doesn't mean that God approved of it, right?
Oh, for sure.
Just because she was, she put her faith in God. The day that I chose to put my faith in God didn't mean that I had completely expunged sin from my life either. So, you know, that's not in and of itself. I don't think that's compelling enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
But Matthew chapter 12 is very interesting from this perspective. Matthew chapter 12, verse 1. At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath, and his disciples were hungry and began to pluck the heads of grain and to eat. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, "Look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath." But he said to them, "Have you not read?" By the way, that is like straight up offensive to any Pharisee, right? Like to imply that there was something in the Bible that they hadn't read, not a good thing. Have you not read what David did when he was hungry and those that were with him? How he entered the house of God and ate the showbread, which was not lawful for him to eat, nor for those who were with him, but only for the priests. Or have you not read that the that in the law, that on the Sabbath, the priests in the temple profane the Sabbath and are blameless. Yet I say to you that in this place there is one greater than the temple. Jesus is giving an order of priority. So if I'm reading this right, Jesus is at no point did Jesus say, "Oh, it was actually okay for David to eat the bread." He says no, or the priests to work in the temple. He said, yeah, priests working in the temple, David eating the bread. Both of those things were against the law. They were both wrong, but they were both in contradiction because they had to be in submission to the higher law, right?
It's interesting that you use that story though, because the outcome of David eating the bread, the outcome of David's lies, which led to him eating the bread, led to the destruction of that whole city.
Well, yeah, the slaughter of innocent priests.
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
So, in effect, I mean, if he'd been honest to the priests, they probably would have given it to him, right? But at least they would have been able to take responsibility for their actions when Saul came, opposed to being
it being taken from their hands. So
they lost the right to choose in that situation. So Jesus here is talking about the bread that was set aside for the priests only, but he didn't say that David's lying to get the bread was appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see your point about the compassion being definitely something that Jesus values.
Of a high priority. In the moral philosophy area, right? There's these big philosophers, right? There's Immanuel Kant, and he was an absolutist. He said that, lying as an example, but he applied this across all morality, right? If something is wrong, it's universally wrong, and there is no circumstance under which it could be considered right, and so therefore you shouldn't do it. That was his perspective on virtually all issues of morality. But there is, on the other end of the spectrum, you got situational ethics. The ethics of something is either culturally motivated, so it's only wrong if it's wrong in your community, or it is situational. So, is it expedient for me right now? Utilitarian, right? Right now in this scenario, is it okay for me to do this thing? And based on what's going on, yeah, probably.
For the greater good.
For the greater good, sure. Yeah. But I don't think either extreme is right. I think there's this other form of ethics where it's called graded absolutism, and that agrees that there are moral absolutes. A la C.S. Lewis, right? That there are these moral absolutes that govern our behavior and our relationship to God, but if they are ever found in conflict, we should always seek to obey the higher order, so to speak, the ones that are. What is this face? Sorry, I don't know what's going on in your head.
I think I'm worried about there's dangerous territory.
Okay,
potentially with that.
Yeah.
Because when you think of Caiaphas the priest,
yes,
he kind of took that similar mentality where it was he saw the greater good of the nation, and he saw fit that Jesus is he saw Jesus as expendable for the good of the nation. He thought it's better for Jesus to die than see the whole of society collapse in his mind.
Yeah. So is graded absolutism right, or did he just pick the wrong priority?
But what defines the grade? Because that isn't specified anywhere. Do you decide the grade?
Yeah, and in
and at that point it's pretty much just utilitarianism because you are just picking what grade suits you in your ethical situation.
And I think that's a fair objection. I see in my case, I don't know that going back to the illustration of the hiding the Jews, right, from the Nazis. I don't think I would have a moment of second guessing myself in that scenario. I would lie straight up. No, I wouldn't feel conscience at that point. I wouldn't think, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Because I guess you morally justify it as well, because you're saying I'm associating myself with these people so that if they get caught, I'm dying.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. You're being selfless in that act, so you can kind of morally justify breaking for lying because I'm putting myself at greater risk by doing that than going they just came in here, they're under the table
Yeah, that's true. And but this Caiaphas thing is bothering me. What are you doing to me? All right. Okay. So I'm trying to trace this thread going back via Caiaphas, and it's if if we try to analyze it the same way and we say, okay, if Caiaphas was doing this, what was the motivation? How was he processing that? Like you said, in the Jew scenario, you are doing something that it's for the obvious good, right? This is something that is, there is an innocent person here, and I'm going to be virtually solely responsible for their death if I tell the truth right now to this person. In Caiaphas' situation, when he made that argument of it being, this is for the good of the people, was it for the good of the people, or was he using that for political expedience? And in that scenario, was he just trying to? Yeah, was he convicted that Jesus was the Son of God? Had he just shut his eyes to it? And so, in that case, were his actions, what's the word I'm looking for? Were they like completely self-motivated? Rather than selfless in the example that we were saying, like, is the motivation the key theme here? Ooh, this is.
I love when you ooh yourself.
Hey, I don't care where the ideas come from. If they're good ideas, they're good ideas. So yeah, I think that's the difference. I think the motivation for it is what that makes the change. Rahab had no self-motivated reason for lying about the spies, because if she had have said, "Oh, there they are,"
but she acted
plot
twist. She actively hid them.
Yes,
which she had been punished. So especially.
But if she actively hid them, sending them up, and then someone comes and knocks on the door and says, "Where are they?" She goes, "They ran upstairs."
Ah, true.
She's got favor.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you could, but you'd have to lie again. Because
she could just say, "I lied," and they're hiding upstairs. They think I'm protecting them, right? Like,
yeah. True that.
Yeah. So
lots of lying.
Lots of lying, right? Lies produce lies.
Yeah.
So
bad.
I guess so just don't do it.
Problem solved.
So I guess I don't think lying, even for the right reasons, isn't problematic. I think it absolutely is, and I think David was a great example of that, like you pointed out before. So I'm not saying
was he lying for the right reasons though? Well, maybe he thought he was protecting the priests by lying.
Yeah.
But also he thought that if he told them the truth, that they wouldn't give him what he needed. Like,
it's hard,
weapon and food. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, that's why you got to tell the truth and kind of run with the cards you get dealt, opposed to trying to manipulate your hand.
Yeah. See, this is Immanuel Kant's position. One of his interesting things, because his response was along the lines of, well, you can't possibly know what set of events that you're going to kick off
in either situation.
So you might think that is going to end in their death, but you don't actually know that you don't have a crystal ball. So therefore, we should just, like you're saying, just tell the truth 100%.
Hide them better. Problem solved.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what the right answer is there, but I think that there is a compelling argument for that.